Hello everybody, welcome to iPandarin 3 minutes per day Chinese class. I'm Qing. Today is the last lesson of Pinyin, exceptions or rules when we write Pinyin. This is a really advanced lesson. You don't necessarily have to learn this to be able to understand or use Pinyin. But if you learn all these rules, you're going to be a real master of Pinyin. Before we start, all the content in this video can be accessed at www.ipandarin.com. Let's begin.
Okay, let's look at this chart. We have learned all the initials and finals. And today we are going to learn some special rules when we write some of this pinyin. And rule number 1, independent syllable of final E and final starts with E need to be written with initial E, which is also the Roman alphabet, Y. Okay, the first case, for final E, Yin, Ying, we need to write the initial E in front. And the second case, for final Ya, Ye, Yo, Yang, Yong, Yan, we need to replace the final E with the initial E as the chart shows. For example, the syllable Ye, which means grandpa in Chinese, it's actually the final Ye with second tone, but when we write it, we need to replace the final E with the initial E, so it's pronounced Ye, but written like this. Second example, the syllable E, which means clothes in Chinese, is actually the final E with first tone, but when we write it, we need to write the initial E in front, so it's pronounced as E, but written like this. Rule number 2, independent syllable of final U and final starts with U need to be written with initial E, and the dots on U has to be removed. As the chart shows, for Yu, Yue, Yuan, Yun, we need to write the initial E in front and remove the dots on Yu. For example, the syllable Yue, which means moon in Chinese, it's actually the final Yue with fourth tone, but when we write it, we need to write the initial E in front, so this is pronounced as Yue, and we need to remove the dots, don't forget. It's written like this, pronounced as Yue. Rule number 3, independent syllable of final U and the final starts with U need to be written with initial U, which is also the Roman alphabet W, as the chart shows. For final U, we need to write the initial U in front. For other finals, Wa, Wo, Wai, Wei, Wan, Wen, Wang, Weng, we need to replace the final U with the initial U. For example, the syllable Wu, which means 5 in Chinese, is actually the final U with third tone, but when we write it, we need to write the initial U in front. And the syllable Wa, which means frog in Chinese, is actually the final Wa with first tone, but when we write it, we need to replace the final U with the initial U. Rule number 4, when Ji, Qi, Xi meets Yu, Yue, Yuan, Yun, we need to remove the dots on Yu, Yue, Yuan, Yun, and they are written like this, as the dots are all removed. For example, the syllable 去, which means to go somewhere in Chinese, it's actually the initial qi with the final yu with fourth tone, but it's written like this and pronounced as 去 instead of chu. Rule number 5. When final yo meets the initials below, we need to write the pinyin without o as 秋, 喵, 鸠, 妞, 修, 丢, 溜. For example, the syllable 球, which means ball in Chinese, when we write it, we remove o and it's pronounced as 球. Rule number 6. When final wei meets the initials below, we need to write the pinyin without so 亏, 堆, 瑞, 催, 追, 睡, 归, 推, 追, 虽, 吹, 挥. For example, the syllable 嘴, which means mouth in Chinese, when we write it, we remove in the final. It's written like this, pronounced as 嘴. Rule number 7. When a final consists of 2 or more letters, on which letter should we mark the tones? Remember this. We should always find a first. When there's a in the final, we should always mark the tones on a. But when there's no a in the final, the tones are always marked on o or Okay. When there's no a or in the final, when I and U are together, we mark it on U. So look at this. We should always find a first. When there's a in the final, the tones are always marked on a. But when there's no a, we should mark the tones on o or and when I and U are together, we mark the tones on U. Yes. Do you remember? Find a first. When there's no a, it's either on o or When I and U are together, we mark it on U. Okay. Rule number 8. When 2 third tones are together in one word, the first third tone is pronounced as second tone but written as third tone. For example, the word 你好. The pinyin consists of 2 third tones, 你 and 好. But when it's in one word, 你好, which means hello, we pronounce the first third tone as second tone, so it's 你好 instead of 你好, but it's still written as 2 third tones.
Alright, that's all for today. Today we have learned 8 special rules of Pinyin, and our Pinyin lessons are officially ended now. Today's homework is to review all the Pinyin lessons. And in the next lesson, we are going to study Level 1, Lesson 1 vocabularies. If you want to do some pre-study, please go to www.ipandarin.com, Level 1, Lesson 1. So, see you, bye-bye!